Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Sirey from On the Hot Podcast. Today I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content I will be covering will be in the sport of boxing. And today in this bonus content, I will be sharing my fight summary on the fight that we saw today between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. So today in the fight in the boxing world, we saw a clash between two upcoming boxers, which we saw today. Tommy TNT Fury was successful. He now extends his professional boxing record to 9-0 after picking up a split decision win over Jake Paul this afternoon in the world of boxing. So to me, the fight was really good from start to finish. Stats show that Jake Paul was the more accurate fighter in this fight, being more accurate with the punches that landed. But however, Tommy Fury and the stats show that he outlanded Jake Paul in every round of the boxing fight. To me, overall, I thought Tommy Fury was ahead of the fight. I thought he had the score. I thought he had the lead, a slight lead, heading all the way up to the 8th round. But the 8th round to me was a deciding factor that I thought the judges would give Jake Paul the nod, the go ahead in the split decision when he scored that knockdown punch early in round 8. I thought that was enough for the judges to win, for Jake Paul to win over the judges and help him secure the win. Obviously, that did not take place. So I thought that was enough for him. But Tommy Fury, like I said, he outlanded Jake Paul in every round, punches wise, which now that I think about it, which was the right decision by the judges for this fight. So for me, after this fight, I thought of a question: was Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury good for the sport of boxing? And my answer to that was absolutely yes. Now, it wasn't a absolute classic when we have two elite fighters, the best of the best, getting in the ring. For example, if we were to get a Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson in the ring boxing each other, by any means, we did not get that today in Saudi Arabia when these two guys fought each other. These are two upcoming boxers, young in their careers. Jake Paul, this was his 7th fight. Tommy Fury, this was overall his 9th fight in their professional careers. It's not going to be perfect, but it did absolutely everything it was supposed to do in the sport of boxing. It brought in more eyes, more viewers to the sport, which the sport needs at this absolute moment. It brought out the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury both brought out a lot of talented boxers, legends in the sport of boxing. When you think of names of Tyson Fury, older brother Tommy Fury, Deontay Wilder, you had legend Mike Tyson there in attendance, the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, Devin Haney, in attendance. It brought out a lot of stars there. You also even had Sean Porter calling the fight at commentary, a boxing legend in his own right. So it brought out a lot of eyes, brought out a lot of attention to the sport of boxing. And then it was entertaining. That's all this fight needed to be. When you're talking about two young guys still trying to get their feet wet in the sport, they gave us everything that we wanted to see. Entertainment from start to finish, which was a good fight. And I thought it was great for the sport of boxing that we got this fight today. So to me, that's a W for the sport of boxing to have that much attention on the sport. Having that, bringing out that many stars in attendance in Saudi Arabia, boxing stars and boxing legends. So I thought this fight did everything it was supposed to do. Great job by both athletes selling the fight and providing a good fight from start to finish. With this victory, Tommy Fury will now have an official WBC ranking in the cruiserweight division. He was awarded with the WBC belt. For anybody out there watching, listening, thinking this was a championship fight, it was not. The belt that was awarded to the winner at the end of this fight is just a collector's item, something that the WBC sometimes does when big time fights happen. They give out collector items, belts. This is something for Tommy Fury to have for the rest of his life and his achievement for winning this fight today against Jake Paul. By any means, this is not a championship win, or he is not a WBC champion at this particular moment. So just to clarify that. But Tommy Fury today, he proved me wrong. I said in the podcast prediction that Tommy Fury would fold under pressure because he's never been in the big time spotlight like this before. He only had 10 to 12 amateur fights under his belt, which is surprising for someone that's a part of the Fury bloodline to me still to this day. However, he shocked me. He stepped up when it mattered most. Every time it looked like he was in trouble with the punches that Jake Paul landed, he overcame the adversity, shook it off, and it started coming back to Jake Paul with a lot of combination strikes, which led to him winning this fight. So he proved me wrong, probably proved a lot of doubters out there wrong, questioning his ability of being a boxer. Today we found out a lot about Tommy Fury. I'm excited for his future, and congratulations to him for picking up the win against Jake Paul. So which brings me to the loser of the fight, which is Jake Paul. So now If you guys have been following the podcast, this is actually the first boxing prediction fight that I've gotten wrong since starting the podcast a year and a half ago. It hurts. The first time I got a prediction wrong for the sport of boxing, it hurts. Boxing is one of my favorite sports. I followed the sport pretty heavily. So this time I was wrong. So what's next for Jake Paul? He now finds himself at 6-1 after 7 professional boxing fights in his respective career, and he's going back to the drawing board. I don't think Jake Paul ever envisioned himself losing this early in his career. Maybe if he got into a championship fight, maybe that's when he might have thought he was going to lose his first fight. Or maybe if his dream ever came true and he got in the ring with Canelo Alvarez, maybe he thought he was going to lose then and there at that particular time. But I can tell you that Jake Paul never visioned himself losing to Tommy Fury today in Saudi Arabia. He never visioned himself waking up tomorrow morning saying to himself he is now 6-1 as a professional boxer. This one's going to sting. Jake Paul realistically might have lost some clout after this fight, after losing this fight. A lot of people bought the pay-per-views that he's been a part of, whether he's fighting Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, whoever he was in the ring with. A lot of people tuned in to potentially see Jake Paul finally lose his professional fight. And now that that's happened, a lot of people might take their attention off of Jake Paul for quite some time now because he has suffered his first career loss. But it's not the end of the world for Jake Paul, and I'll get to that in a few moments. To me, I do believe that he deserves a rematch. To me, Jake Paul found himself down 10-8 in some rounds, which cost him the fight when you do the math on it. Being down 10-8 in rounds is hard to catch up in boxing if you're not going to get consecutive knockdowns. Put it together, consecutive combination strikes that wow the judges, or score a knockout victory. By any means, no matter who the boxer is, you find yourself down 10-8 in a lot of rounds, it's hard to overcome the scorecards. I think that's what happened to Jake Paul today. But he really showed me that he deserves to be labeled as a professional boxer. Despite the loss, he has the L. However, he showed a lot of boxing tangibles that I predicted that would come out in this fight. He stood the distance. He went toe-to-toe with Tommy Fury. He withstood a lot of punches that I believe that would have took out another boxer, a young boxer, if Tommy Fury was in the ring with today in Saudi Arabia. Jake Paul gave everything he had. He was impressive. He withstood punishment. He was pretty firm in the pocket. Had some clinches going on there, which I didn't like. But I think Jake Paul did a pretty good job today. His jab seems to be pretty lethal. Again, he got Anderson Silva in the 8th round with that jab. And today he got the knockdown against Tommy Fury with that jab. So he's showing me that he has a pretty strong right-hand jab. He's showing me that he can be a professional boxer. It's however you handle the loss how is he going to handle it? How is he going to handle this moving forward? Will this rematch happen? I do believe that we will see this rematch between Tommy Fury and Jake Paul by the end of 2023. In the contract, it stated that if Jake Paul was victorious, there was no rematch clause for Tommy Fury. That would have been the end of it. Point blank period. However, Tommy Fury was the successful one, so therefore in the contract it stated that Jake Paul would have a rematch clause if he was unsuccessful against Tommy Fury. I believe he's going to use the rematch clause as soon as possible. I'm predicting we'll probably see this fight maybe again in Saudi Arabia. I believe this fight's going to happen at some point in the summertime. Maybe May, in the months of May, June, or July. I believe this fight will happen again. But in this rematch, Jake Paul is going to have to come out way better. He came out the gate slow, which was a problem with how Tommy Fury jumped on the scorecards early. He did withstand the storm that I said that Tommy Fury would bring. He would try to get him out of there in the first 3 to 4 rounds. Tommy Fury did that, but he's unsuccessful. Jake Paul now has to do a better job for the rematch. He has to come more prepared. I saw a lot of times that he was surprised that Tommy Fury was coming with the TNT power punches. That is why he has the nickname, and Jake Paul learned today. He has to be in better condition. I've seen a lot of times in the fight where Jake Paul was getting winded and not knowing what to do next, so a lot of clinching was going on. That cannot happen in the rematch. If you want to overcome this loss and potentially beat Tommy Fury, you got to do more. You got to be in better condition. He looked very gassed out there after the 4th, 5th round. That's unacceptable to me. He has to follow up on combination strikes. I said that he was the more accurate fighter between him and Tommy Fury when you talk about punches landed, accuracy-wise, percentage-wise, I should say. But he did not. When the punches he was landing with Tommy Fury came right back at him and hit him with some hard punches. In order for you to work the scorecards for the next fight, you got to do more with your combination strikes. You got to come once you land some combination strikes. You can't just back up. You got to stay on the offense. Keep pushing the pedal to the metal. Jake Paul was not successful doing that today, so he's got to do that in the rematch. He has to finish the job. When boxers smell blood in the water when they score a knockdown win, it's easy for them to go in for the kill, get the knockout win. That's what Jake Paul should have did late in the 8th round. He knocked down Tommy Fury, and Tommy Fury was a little stunned, a little hurt after the knockdown. A lot of people say he slipped, but he got hit with that right hand jab, like I just said a few moments ago. If that's any other fighter, and they see their guy down after delivering the knockdown, they're getting that guy out of there. Jake Paul did not push the gas, the pedal to the metal. He probably thought in his head, like I thought, that was enough for him to score the victory. No, close him out. Be a closer. Knock him out. Finish him off so it doesn't come to the scorecards, because that fight was too close for that to happen. Jake Paul should have knocked him out and got him out of there. He didn't do it, and I saw towards the last 30 seconds of the fight, he started clinching more than he was throwing punches. However, in a 50-50 fight, you got to finish your opponent off like that. And Jake Paul was not successful to do that today. So that's what Jake Paul has to do moving forward for the rematch. And before I end this video, the question I have is, what happens if Jake Paul loses this fight? Well, I'm telling you two things that's going to happen. If Jake Paul loses this fight, one, he's not ever going to fight another professional fighter, unfortunately. I hate to say it, as much as I like Jake Paul, that's just going to be it for him. Especially nowadays in the boxing world, once you suffer the one loss, that's a stinger, but anybody can recover from one loss. When you start getting 2 to 3 losses on your resume in the sport of boxing, that's kind of the deadline for you. Jake Paul loses this fight, the next time they fight, he'll be 6-2. And that's going to hurt because he loves to be the A side of fights. It's even going to be tough for him to be the A side in the next fight against Tommy Fury because he wasn't successful today. So he's got a lot on his plate for the sport of boxing. He cannot lose the rematch. If you win the rematch, it deserves to be a trilogy in my opinion. And don't even give anybody else the time of the day. It deserves to be a trilogy if Jake Paul is successful. But if he's not successful, I believe he's going to be done with the sport of boxing. If he still does the sport of boxing, he won't get in the ring with another professional boxer. It'll be ex-UFC employees, older guys up there in age, and maybe a KSI or any YouTuber that wants to get in the ring with Jake Paul is no longer going to be a professional guy. So this next loss, if he loses again to Tommy Fury, it's going to hurt him. Purse-wise, it's going to hurt his legacy in the sport. And a lot of people are no longer going to be entertained watching Jake Paul fight. So it's a must-win if you're going to activate this rematch clause immediately. I think he should. I think he needs to be worried about Tommy Fury only. I don't want to hear about him potentially having a fight with Nate Diaz or KSI before Tommy Fury. He needs to overcome this obstacle in his career right now. Activate the rematch clause for Tommy Fury so we could get that in the next few months. It was entertaining to watch today, and I believe that rematch will be entertaining as well. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.